o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Meeting's being recorded live for CNET's YouTube channel. First things up, we got an announcement regarding the Fort Matilda EMS transport van. Going to just read a brief statement by staff here. It says, Halfmoon Township Board of Supervisors found it important to address the status of the LSA grant as it pertains to the Fort Matilda EMS transportation van. To give a brief timeline of where we are today, there was a miscommunication amongst the parties that led to the Department of Community and Economic Development being unable to approve the existing van purchase and release the general grant funds. The Department of Community and Economic Development recommended, to rectify this situation, that the township purchase a second van through the township procurement process and have the PMES, Fort Matilda EMS, sell the first van to offset most of the cost of the first van. The township has been working with Fort Matilda EMS to determine a solid approach to help relieve this burden with both parties as much as possible. An agreement is currently being drafted with the solicitor. Once drafted, the agreement will be reviewed and potentially approved at the July 10th meeting. Fort Matilda EMS will not be losing their van.
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I have a comment.
Or for the record, I agree with the last part of the statement, but I do not agree with the overall part of the statement because it doesn't reflect my position on the issue. So that's all I wanted to say about it, for the record.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, public.
Question?
Well, public comments is coming here, so you can ask your question at the public comments.
Well, that seems to be, I'm not allowed to address something you just asked, or you just...
Well, I'm not going to argue with you about it. What do you got?
Well, you read it, and although I listened carefully, it still was, a lot to take in. So really, isn't a challenge, it's really just a question. So what you're saying, if I could just reflect this back and make sure I heard it right, because there was a miscommunication, paperwork wasn't signed or checks or whatever, the van was purchased without proper approval. Is that, or proper procedures? And
I don't want to blame anybody for their mistakes.
Okay, I'm just trying to, but something happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And now you're going to rectify this by the township is going to purchase another van.
Through the grant process.
Oh, through the grant process.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, and the EMS is going to sell the van that they have to help offset the cost?
Yes. After the new van is outfitted and delivered.
Okay, I just wanted
They will not be without.
Not be without a van.
It's a perfectly good question.
Yep. They will not be without a transport van
Okay,
during any part of this. So.
Just wanted to slow it down, clarify.
Okay. All right. Public comments. Anybody have any public comments for anything on or off the agenda they would like? Yes.
I'm Karen Miller, and Wayne and Lenore Foster, the chairs of the Port Matilda EMS for Center Gibbs, asked me to read this tonight. They're away, so they couldn't be here to present it. So we would like to thank all the residents of Halfmoon Township and our neighboring townships in the Upper Bald Eagle Halfmoon Cog for showing such amazing support to the Port Matilda EMS this year during Center Gives. Center Gives, which is an annual county-wide 36-hour online event, allows donors to support over 200 local nonprofit organizations here in Center County. Center Foundation and the Hammer Foundation add funds to every donation made, so every donation is automatically increased. For many nonprofits, this is their biggest fundraiser of the year. In the past, the Port Matilda EMS was able to purchase a commercial washer and dryer set for the station and equip the EMTs with high visibility safety gear. The amount this year has not been officially announced, but it appears we have raised over $10,000. We were also awarded 2 prizes. This would not have been possible without the support of every single donor, but we want to especially acknowledge Halfmoon Realty. We also want to send our thanks to Ed and Josie Findley of Brothers Pizza in Stormstown, who not only helped promote the event as they have in the past, but helped us celebrate by hosting a watch party at their restaurant. Thanks to Dr. Cliff Neal for providing the entertainment, to Erica Dover for her help in donating the proceeds from her wreath sale and for donating a gift basket, and to Wendy Baker, Karen Miller, Carol Eaton, and Susan Person for their help and expertise. Thanks also to the EMS Board of Directors, the Upper Bald Eagle Half Moon COG, and the crew and staff of the EMS. Halfmoon Township has always been generous in its support of the EMS during Center Gives, but help is needed all year long. Fundraising events are held throughout the year that need participants and volunteers. The non-emergency van transport could use more drivers, and of course, there is always a need for EMTs. The need for funding never stops. We need residents to get involved and help ensure that the EMS continues to be successful so it can serve our community. With much appreciation, Wayne and Lenore Foster.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing none. Next up, approval of the minutes. This will be the minutes from May 8th, 2025. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions by the board? Hearing none. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Approved. Consent agenda. I'm not going to read through it. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Approved. Couch rezoning request. Amy, do you want to answer the planning commission and zoning officer recommendations?
Both the Half Moon Township Planning Commission, the zoning officer, and the Center Region Planning Commission all recommended that the A1 zone be rezoned to limited industrial, and for the board to move forward with public hearing and notification of the neighboring properties.
Just that portion of the A1 that,
Just the 12.8 acres.
okay. You have anything you want to add, Mr. Houts? All right. Do I hear a motion to advertise for a public hearing on July 10th, 2025?
I move to direct staff to advertise for a public hearing on July 10th, 2025. Mr. Chair.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It was a tie. All right, moved and seconded. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, next up, PSATS workshop, best practices for effective relationships. Do I hear a motion to approve $160 for a share of the PSATS workshop on fire, EMS, and local government best practices?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. Next up is do I hear a motion to approve $40 for a share of the purchase of pizza for the PSATS workshop?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay.
If I could just say, if any additional Half Moon supervisors can attend, please let me know ASAP so we can adjust those numbers. So
Okay.
we're hosting the workshop.
I'm not going to be able to attend.
Okay.
I'm out of town, so.
All right. Next up will be Resolution 2025-14. This would be for resolution of the Township of Half Moon, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, supporting the Pennsylvania Commission for United States Semi-Quincentennial.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve the resolution. Do I hear a second? Moved and seconded. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. I'll just sign it now, then Amy won't have to chase me down. Okay, next up, award road bid projects. I'm looking for a motion to award the Eve Street Overlay Project to Glen O. Hallbaker Incorporated not to exceed $49,934. Do I hear a motion to award that bid.
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Moving second. Any discussion by the board?
I just have a question for Chuck. Entirety of Eve Street, is that right? Is this the whole Eve Street?
Yes, entirety of the township owned portion of it.
Including the Hammerhead cul-de-sac at the end?
No, because we do not own that.
Well, it's an easement agreement.
We
yeah.
don't, who owns
Well, that's
that?
why I'm asking.
Uh,
No, it's just,
Property owner?
According to the plans that I've pulled, we don't, but that's honestly as much as I know about it.
we don't physically own that, but the Hammerhead was done by an agreement with Mr. Kessling years ago. It should be in the township file. I might be able to help you find it.
All right, then I think we need to speak more about that.
All right.
So are you suggesting then that we do pave that part?
Well, I don't know that we need to at this point, but, because the bid's already let. But that's
Because
why I
it's
was,
just at the very end, right?
It is at the very end. I mean,
Yeah.
it would substantially change.
it's where you got to go
Well,
up
that's
the
what I was
hill.
gonna ask.
So
Yeah,
You've-
that's,
You've priced out, you've got a price for up to that point.
Right,
You'd
right.
need
Yeah,
additional money
so
to finish it.
The price includes replacing a culvert pipe at the intersection of Eve Street and Beckwith that's failing, as well as, yeah, paving
So, the-
my understanding of the township owned portion, so obviously Dave and I need to look into that a little bit more.
so the cul-de-sac was never brought up to standard and turned over to the township?
There was never a cul-de-sac planned there.
Never a cul-de-sac?
Yeah, that was a road that was taken over by the township back in the probably late seventies. That we had years ago, we had to go get a highway permit from PennDOT for the entrance. And in order to get it on liquid fuels, we had to get a Hammerhead agreement
Okay.
at the end, so. But that's why I was asking, because I don't think we have physical title to it, so that's why I didn't know.
That's
if
what
it was
I had
included.
pulled the plans for it and there was no physical drawings
Right.
of it on there.
Yep.
So at that point,
It seems to me you
we
gotta,
don't physically own it, it makes sense to not do it.
right.
but it seems to me though, you gotta
Even,
make sure.
even if we own it, it has to be in the liquid fuels database, and it's not, so liquid fuels could not cover that if we choose to do it.
But
That general
Eve
fund.
Street got on liquid fuels to that point because we did get a turnaround agreement with Kessler.
condition of that hammerhead
It's
section?
still in good shape. I
Okay.
mean, and then we would obviously add stone to it to grade everything once.
But it's something that could be done later, should agreements be completed
Oh, yeah.
and the township own it and be able to do something with it,
Yeah, we can come back with that, so.
yeah.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Next up, need a motion to award the Orchard Road Fiber Net Fog Seal Project to Midland Asphalt, not to exceed $30,311.80. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
I got a question. What? I thought we just paved Orchard Road.
This is the top part
Not
of
the
it.
entirety of it.
So you're going up above there,
We're going from where they had stopped paving
okay?
in, I believe, 2022. Don't hold me to that.
That's about right.
But where that paving notch is, it'll be fiber netting the rest.
You're going to the township line, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
All right. Any other questions by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, next up, Open Space Preservation Board recommendation. Looking to reopen the agricultural security areas in the township. That would allow some properties that are not in ag security to go into ag security, which is part of the county requirement for county land preservation. And before we make that motion, I wanted to recognize Joanne Fisher's farm down here has just become a century farm in Halfmoon Township. It's a very big deal, so if you see Joanne, tell her congratulations. So, do I hear a motion to allow the opening of the agricultural security areas? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion by the board? Call for the question. All those in favor say aye. 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 Okay. Center Region COG, Human Resource Metrics, tracking time and tasks, or on tasks.
Yes, so, as part of the HR committee with COG, they are, instructed staff staff within COG to start tracking their time. There's been multiple requests over the years in terms of a better tracking of where staff spends their time within COG so that they can have a true cost of programs. So the question came back to the HR committee in terms of how in-depth that they should go for that tracking. And of course, we want to make sure that it's not an undue burden of their current time, that it's efficient and so on and so forth. So basically what we've talked about is, don't worry about, little teeny tiny things that you may do that take you 5 minutes, but look at the overall big picture. And if we look at that over a course of a year or so, that perhaps we're going to have a good idea of where they spend time, rather than trying to micromanage them and record every little second of the day that they do. So I just want to run that through our board here and make sure you guys are okay with that, rather than, I know staff here have done that before, and it is time consuming to track your time like that. So if we can do it more efficiently and still get a picture of what it looks like, so that we can have more true costs for programs within COG.
Well, how do they measure their time now?
I'm not sure that there is a good process in place for measuring their time currently. I mean, obviously HR spends most of their time doing HR, and Parks does most of their time doing parks, but there's certain finance people that their time cross-references different programs. Certainly our new director, his time definitely cross-references everything within COG.
Right.
So, and I don't think it's been, and if it has been tracked, it's been years ago. I don't think there's been anything recent in terms of tracking time.
They don't do time sheets or anything like that?
They have time sheets, but it's overall time.
Right.
Like, I don't think they've gone back and actually tracked it in terms of
So they want
programs
to track
and-
it by program or by project?
Yes,
Okay.
both. But again, trying to do it in an efficient manner, still get the data that's useful information, as opposed to, if they run a 5-minute phone call, it probably takes more time to record that 5-minute phone call if it interrupts another project that they're working on, type of thing.
Are they looking
So.
at using a program like the attorneys have? If you call the attorney's office, they bill in, 6.5-minute intervals or something.
They're not
crazy.
looking to do that. I think what they're looking at is what is our true costs of all of our programs and projects within COG.
That's a difficult challenge.
It's an absolute difficult challenge, and so that's why they came back to us and said, okay, instead of tracking every little thing, how about if we do the big picture things, and does that give them enough information? Which the HR committee kind of feels that way, but again, we wanted to bring it back to all of the municipalities to just have that conversation, and if there's an issue that somebody sees.
Sounds to me like they're going to spend time managing time.
Absolutely. And that's unfortunately
I'm not sure.
what happens whenever you try to track time and get a handle on true costs. But again, we're trying to look at it for a period of time and then not do it anymore.
Uh-huh.
So we don't want this to go into perpetuality.
So it's like a time study for a certain period of time.
Yes, exactly. And again, not micromanaging that time study, but
So they didn't want to establish standards to do certain kinds of projects.
yes.
Since you're on the committee, is this like all departments that it's a
IE function,
concern,
if I've
or
heard
is this a, particularly in the overloaded, overburdened planning department?
I think it's overall, I mean, partly it comes back to, some of it is finance questions that we've asked. Well, what's the true cost of some of this, what everybody's doing? And again, I think it's justification in some cases in terms of staff and how much staffing we've had. I will say our current executive director has been very good about some positions that they've had open that he's decided to axe those, like, let's just hold on those until we get a handle on things. And again, it comes back to, again, costs and what are true costs.
What a lot of companies do, government contractors have to do it. They keep track. They charge certain numbers for different types of work that they do. If I'm working on project X, I charge my time to that.
Well, and that's some
then
of it
move on
too,
to-
when it comes to like back for planning or something like that. If they have an estimated, like, this project is gonna cost this, then we know what they can charge if it is a for-charge project. It does help.
If they're
in a
doing
number of
forensics
different
for a
ways.
year, I don't
But-
see any problem with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I'm-
kinda how I felt, is
I'm,
like,
I'm okay with it.
if they're
Somebody
doing the
wanna
I'm
big
gonna do it
picture for a year.
continuously
No,
forever.
no, yeah, yeah.
Do they have an automated way to do it, or will it be?
I think each department's probably managing that on their own, whatever makes the most sense for them. We didn't go into specifics in terms of
Right.
exactly how are you doing it.
Especially since it's a short term, it's not like an overall.
Right, I think
implementing
it's
a new
their
system or something.
whatever
yeah.
system works for this group in the most efficient way.
Okay.
Yep.
I would suggest they do it for a couple months and then get back to us and say what's working, what's not, and maybe they can tune that up a little bit better. Yeah, and
I think they've already started doing it, and I think that's why they came back to us, because it was taking so much time to track everything. And so this is kind of the question, are you okay with us doing this? So I think
Okay.
that did happen.
They're looking to keep track of costs for work on projects, where you're doing your everyday stuff that's routine, that you have to do in a day's time. They're not looking to track everything, just project costs.
Big things. And for example, you know, Ben, as a new executive director, you know, his time is split umpteen different ways. And so I think it's also to get a good handle on, you know, a portion of his salary, should it be charged for certain projects or programs, depending on how much time he himself, of course, like the Whitehall Road project, he's taken that over. So, you know, again,
So it gets done.
right. That seems to be a never-ending project. But that's just an example of he spent an enormous amount of time on that. Should
Yep.
that be billed to that parks project type of thing? So
Yeah, I think it's also an opportunity to see what works efficiently and what doesn't. As you said, Ben's taken over the Whitehall Road project. Should our executive director really be doing that? But on the other hand, if you got nobody else, maybe some people need to be shifted around or gotten rid of and new
Right.
people brought in
Right.
specifically for projects.
yeah, and the Whitehall Road is an exception. I mean, he has it simply because of the enormity of the project and how long it's
Yep.
gone on. Normally, that would not be a director position. But again, because he's taken it over to get it done,
Yep.
or try to get it done, again, you know, looking at, can he bill that back to that project?
What surprised me about that is that they did hire a facilities administrator. And I think they're talking about, at least from that document that we're reviewing, they're talking about changing the position to facilities manager. I would think that would be that person's responsibility to manage facilities projects.
I think
And
that's
then Ben can
that's the
spend his
intent
time
going
being-
forward. But the Whitehall Road, again, is an exception, and it's,
It's been almost done for
Yeah.
how long now? And they just had to
Exactly.
push it
And
over the
his-
finish line.
that's why he kind of took it over, to make sure that it does get done and that we try to
I think that was a
minimize,
punch
so,
list issue.
Yeah.
Really what
Yeah,
it
they're
was.
just down to stormwater basically at this point.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
a few.
It's just, it's little pitty stuff.
So
that's
you're
taken
looking for a
while.
motion from us saying?
We don't really need a motion,
support it in
just
general?
a consensus,
discussion.
All
so
right,
that I
well,
can take it back to the HR committee, so.
I'm
If
okay
you're
with it.
fine
If they're
with,
trying to manage time, I think that's a good thing.
yeah, and it's gonna take time to figure that out, but again, once we're done, we should have a better idea of where time is spent.
Township reports, treasurer, secretary, roadmaster, does anybody have anything they want to add or apprise the board or the public of?
I guess I can say at next month's meeting, you will see a mid-year report on how we're doing year-to-date based on how it was last year and where I projected for the rest. But other than that, nope.
Okay. All right, thanks. Authority boards and committee reports. Tammy, you got anything to add?
I do. The Finance Committee met today, which is usually what happens. It's the same day as our board meeting. So I sent an email to Amy and Brett. There's going to be what's called the Strategic Guide to Services and Investments that's going to be coming out. This is a tool that helps in preparing the budget for COG. And this is replacing what used to be two separate documents, the CPI and the program plan. So they're taking those two documents, reformatting it, and roll it into what they're calling the SGSI, Strategic Guide to Services and Investments. So the Finance Committee has looked at that today. It's going to be going back to the Executive Committee. And currently, the plan is, once the Executive Committee sends it out to the townships, that they would like feedback from the townships by Friday, July 18th. There was a request today within the Finance Committee that the townships, municipalities have more time than Friday, July 18th. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. That's up to the Exec Committee. But basically, kind of, there's going to be, I don't know, 562 documents to look at. I don't know, it's a lot.
So this
There's
is-
probably about 20 different documents, because it breaks down into each of the program areas within COG, as well as administration, as well as operating, as
They're
well
doing
as
a complete
capital.
reshuffle.
Complete reshuffle. Basically, our review is to look at the format and the structure. Don't worry about the T's being crossed and the I's being dotted. That's being taken care of elsewhere. But look at the format and the structure. And then there's also a section at the end which kind of draws your attention to specific areas that municipalities should consider within the document. So I wouldn't say we need to spend a lot of time on it, but we certainly should take a look at
Well, at
it.
least in the first round, right?
Yes.
Because it'll come back to us at.
Well, their plan is to send it to general forum then.
Okay.
Okay, so
This
this
fall.
is combining the capital improvement program with what?
The capital improvement as well as the program plan. Those were two separate documents in the past
Right,
from COG.
right?
This is eliminating two separate documents and rolling it into one concise document to keep all the information together. And what's nice about this is the documents that we've seen so far is each section actually follows the same protocol from section to section to section. So
Are they gonna
it's-
still distinguish capital from non-capital?
it'll be in this new, but just not a separate document.
Okay.
I guess we'll keep an eye out for that for
So
the,
anyway, so if we can make time, and
meeting.
again, whether it's, you know, we gather comments individually and we summarize them, or we have a conversation at a board meeting, but we need to plan for that, before
Tammy,
July
something-
18th.
I'm sorry. Something was already sent out. I'll show it to you after the meeting. And it sounds something like what you're talking about.
Okay.
That I already had given to everybody,
I
except you two.
don't,
You and you.
probably not this then. I'll look at it.
I
Okay.
think that was proposed projects. And from the various departments within the
Yeah, it
COG.
had proposed,
A lot
I'll
of
show
it
it
was
to you
Parks
after
and
the
Okay,
Rec.
show it to me,
Okay.
yeah, because I don't think that's been sent out in, because this is the
it
first time
doesn't sound
we've
the same.
seen it.
That's, I'm like, okay, they sent
No,
something
this
else
is a
out.
Yeah.
whole new,
Yeah, this is all new, like this was our first time
Program.
seeing it, so.
Okay, then it definitely wasn't that.
Yeah. Other thing from finance. So, matter of record, if you recall, I reported on, there was a 2022 and a 2023 IRS penalties submitted to COG because of issues related to submissions of 1099 NECs. Previously, the 2022 was appealed, and we were granted that appeal, and we owed nothing on it. It was rectified. And to date now, the 2023, which was a much larger bill, the appeal has been accepted, and so those situations are rectified. The case is closed. We owe absolutely nothing. So I commend our current staff with COG for getting on that problem, putting a new system in place. Even if there's departures of staff, that process is still in place and will be in place, and so we shouldn't have this problem going
so
forward.
you have a mechanism in there to,
There's a mechanism in place, yeah. Some of the issues were, I found out today, were like the social security numbers didn't even match up. So, but what was happening is notices were going to only one person, and that person had left COG.
Yep.
And so there was no backup system, so that was the biggest part of the problem. But it happened over the course of 2 years, and like I said, the current staff did a great job with appeals to IRS. We were just waiting on IRS, but they are taken care of, and we owe nothing.
good,
And one last thing, and I sent this to Amy and Brett as well, budget work sessions for the finance committee are being scheduled for September. So if the Halfmoon supervisors want to take a look at COG budgets and have comments go back, which we are entitled to do, other townships do it, for the areas that we participate, that we should plan on that for when the budgets are done and sent out, so that if we want to give feedback back to COG before it goes to general forum, we should plan on that. That's it.
anybody else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Do I hear a second? Second. Okay. Yep. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting done at 7:29 PM. Thank you all for coming.